Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I keep repeating that I do not discuss the military uh, tactics or operations occurring in Ukraine because we have two sides here, and in a war, both sides are exaggerating, avoiding reporting the accurate numbers, and they try to uh, report whatever is convenient to the side that reports certain things. And certain things are, reported today as being left, and in 3 days they're reported to be right, and then vice versa. So I'm waiting for I give it some time for things to settle down, and then certainly you would find the truth at one point, but you need patience. Otherwise, you're just going to make videos or claims, or like the mass media does, sensational news regarding this, regarding that, and after a few days, after things settle down and the population did what had to do, you come with some something more accurate. So I'm usually waiting for something, or I'm vetting certain articles. I don't want to jump the gun, put it this way. Like for instance, with it was that article with Russia giving the deadline to the trapped military and civilians in Mariupol Azovstal steel plant, and they said, okay, we'll give a deadline. After the deadline, we're gonna destroy you completely, and then again another deadline, and then again destroying, and another deadline. And it was on and off, and eventually now Putin declared, oh, stop, leave them alone, encircle them, they will come out or never come out. So this article is about the Russian debt and the Russian um, economic situation. We are told by the corporate media that Russia is ready to default, Russia cannot make its payments, it is incapable, the sanctions are working, the embargo, all that. I kept saying that it's a matter of sanctions on the ability of the Russians not to pay because they don't have the funds, but because they are not allowed to connect and use the proper channels of transferring the funds, which is a technicality. It's not in itself reality. So if Russia defaults, it's not because it doesn't have the funds, the money, or it's because they're not allowed to transfer the money to the creditors. So here we have a confirmation of that. Actually, I would say not confirmation, because not necessarily these guys are telling the truth, but at least it's a validation of whatever I said, and it's coming from Goldman Sachs, from Business Insider, from April 21st, 2022, by Harry Robertson. And it says, Goldman Sachs says Russia's debt problems are, and I'm quoting, technical, end quote, and don't reflect its underlying strength. So when this guy's saying, oh, Russia is ready to default, is not that. It's just cannot make certain payments because they're barred from entering the room to give you the money. So Goldman Sachs says Russia's debt problems are technical and don't accurately reflect underlying dynamics. The bank's analysts said that Ukraine war and related sanctions are damaging the country's creditworthiness, but they only moderately downgraded its sovereign risk score, saying commodity prices rises are working in its favor. So it says here that the Wall Street Bank on Thursday lowered Russia's sovereign risk score, a measure it adjusts each quarter to reflect the creditworthiness of governments around the world. A lower sovereign risk score means the country is less likely to pay its debt in Goldman's eyes. Most is less likely because of technicalities. In this case, I would say more than the capabilities of having the funds. And then it says here that Goldman analyst Farouk Souza said in a note that the Ukraine war and related sanctions are damaging Russians' credit fundamentals. However, he said, the relatively modest downgrade in its risk score is out of step with expectations of an imminent Russian default. So, a little dent, basically. In our view, this reflects the technical nature of Russia's debt servicing issues, which we think are far removed from the underlying credit dynamics. It says here that Russia's government is widely expected to trouble into default on May 4th, when a 30-day grace period on two of its dollar-dominated bonds expires. Under the technical process of making bond payments, governments typically send money through the correspondent banks who ensure the cash gets to the investor. There you go. Russia failed to make $650 million of interest and principal payments due on April 1st in dollars after the U.S. Treasury blocked American banks from processing the transaction. So they sent it, but these guys blocked it. So it's not that they don't have the funds, but some other player said, no, we're going to get you in trouble. And we're going to say, hey, you're incapable of paying. But it's not so. You have just to pay attention, 3 minutes behind and in the back in the past. So Russia has argued that that it has the money to pay, but sanctions are forcing it into an artificial default. Its finance minister Anton Siluanov has raised the prospect of legal actions. Yes, you provide me to go to the city hall and pay my taxes by putting your police in the middle of the road and blocking my car. And if I take my bike, then you come and grab me by the collar and tell me, hey, oh God, you're violating whatever city ordinance. So I can't get there. It's not because I don't have the money and I'm not willing to do it. It's because you just block me. As I said, this is a technique that is, they will bring legal action towards these people, but I don't know if that's going to happen. And if something is going to happen, we're not going to hear about it, because how we're going to hear it? The mass media is going to turn it in a certain way, like it was a kind of, concession coming up the U.S. Treasury or the U.S. government who allowed this and that, because they have and they will decide what happens. And so far, yeah, the banks are just following orders, and what can they do? They don't want to get in trouble, even though the banks kind of have the power, because they have the money to donate to the campaigns of the politicians, correct? Donate, yeah, that's the word. I was about to say something else. Starts with a B. Anyway, Russia is capable by Goldman Sachs analysis, and then it's just a dent, downgrading its capability of paying its creditors, because it's based on a technicality, not on the systemic systemic dynamics in the Russian banking system, or not having the funds. So I'm going to keep following this, where it's always that saying, follow the money and see who's who, what's what. In this case, we know who's who, what's what, right? Thank you for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just. See ya.